I originally did keto about 6 years ago and lost some weight. And right around that time frame is when keto got really popular and all the different keto products started coming out. You know, the Quest bars and the keto cookies and the keto bread and the keto pancakes and all those things. And I'd done well, and then I started eating all of that stuff, and I ended up gaining a bunch of my weight back. Um, and I think that was because those keto products were feeding my sugar addiction, my sweet taste.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Kelly Hogan talks a lot about it on her channel about getting rid of everything that's sweet because it's just gonna, drag you back down eventually. Um, and I've always had a more of a, I'd say, a carb addiction than a sugar addiction, but I think the two go hand in hand. Um, I I work in a job where I'm out driving a lot, and this is to give you an example of how bad my carb addiction was. I could be driving down the road, not hungry, and come up on an exit where I know there's a good like truck stop or gas station that has a variety of things, and just something in my mind would go, "Hey, you could use a bag of chips. You could go for uh, a Coke Zero, or you could go for this or that," and knowing, still knowing that, grabbing a bag of Doritos is probably the last thing I should do. I just had this uncontrollable urge to go, well, I'll just get some and I'll have a few, or you know, I would talk myself into it. And that is the little the little sugar devil on your shoulder,
Mm.
just whispering into my ear. Um, and that's what kept me overweight for so long. And when I finally realized what was happening, and I started learning about my own addiction to sugar, I was finally able to. I decided I'm going to give carnivore a try. That was 8 months ago, and I finally feel like, for once in my life, I'm over it. I'm past it. Uh,
Great.
and I think the key for anybody who's struggling with a sugar or carb addiction is to realize when that little voice is talking to them. Because when that little voice is talking to you, it's like you talking to yourself, trying to convince yourself that it's okay to do it. Um, at least it was that way for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely had a moment when I realized that I was addicted to carbs, and it was a kind of come to Jesus meeting, for me.
Hmm.
That instance where I realized it was more than just liking certain foods. I was an addict.
It's a big thing to admit to yourself, because we're grown-ups and grown-ups don't like to admit their faults. At least I don't anyway. And admitting that, was a big step.
Oh,
And
it,
not
it
only
was
just
everything.
and not only just admitting it to yourself, but admitting it to the people around you. Because once you admit it, then it's out there and you can be accountable for it. So,
Yeah. I think
yeah,
admitting it is a big step forward because then other people know not to offer it to you.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Be conscious of it. Well, that's so true, and it was true for me 10 minutes ago. I was finishing up with my meal, and my daughter was making treats for Thanksgiving on Thursday. She decided she wanted to make um, Rice Krispie treats. So, it's fine. I'm the only real carnivore in the house. Um, the others kind of dabble in it, I think, to kind of make me more comfortable, but the kids don't really. But it was funny. She decided she wanted to try a different way. So she had these potato chips and she made rice, like the marshmallows and potato chips, because she thought it would be good. And she offered it to everyone except me because she knew that I wouldn't try it. So she didn't even ask me. And I kind of like, I appreciate you not asking me to try it, because right now I'm sitting here wondering if you're going to ask me to try it. And if you did ask me, am I going to? That's already playing in my head.
Right.
Um, so I thanked her for not asking me. And she was like, I wasn't going to ask you. I'm like, thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
that. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
We have to kind of condition the people around us about how to interact about certain things.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And another part of my sugar addiction was, um, remember that scene out of Seinfeld where George Costanza, I don't know if you watched the show or not, where George is over at his new girlfriend's house, and there's like a half-eaten eclair in the trash right on top. You remember that scene? He
No, I
walks
don't.
into the kitchen and he goes to throw something away, and he looks in the wastebasket, and the eclair is sitting there on a plate right on top, nothing else around it. So he looks and he reaches down, and these people who thought that he was just the sweetest, nicest guy, the mother walks in behind him, his back's to her. He picks up the eclair and takes a bite and turns around, and she sees him with this eating out of the trash. It's a really funny scene. I'm sure whoever watches this a lot of the people who watch this will end up uh, knowing what I'm talking about there. But and I really related to that, because I couldn't stand seeing something like that go to waste. I wasn't going to eat out of the trash, but it was a temptation. It was a thought that ran through my head, you know. Um, and, like there'd be like one piece of cake left at a party, and I would almost feel obligated to eat it so it didn't go to waste. I'm like, looking back on that now, I'm like, that was dumb. But it was the urge that I couldn't resist.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can remember clearing off the table, where the kids had left this and that, and the whole time I'm clearing off the table, I'm popping this in my mouth and popping that in
Yep.
my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, they didn't eat all their French fries. You know,
Right. Exactly.
or
Potatoes is
you
my big deal.
or like my uh, little boy, he loves McDonald's, so we get it for him every now and then. But when I used to go and get it for him, I would order an extra, like, small or medium fry for me and eat it on the way home,
Hmm.
and then throw the wrapper away so nobody knew that I ate it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have a problem.
Yeah.
I, I have a problem. If I'm hiding McDonald's French fries from people, yeah, and that's a couple times I did that, and then it wasn't long after I got on Carnivore and
Mm.
fixed that. But
Yeah. Isn't it
yeah,
interesting
it's
that
a struggle. It's a real thing.
addictive
People.
behaviors cross over?
Well, in society today, I mean, we take alcoholism seriously.
Hmm.
Take, you know, drug addiction seriously, but sugar, it's everywhere and it's in everything. And I don't know if society will ever take sugar addiction seriously. I hope they do, but I have doubts. Just because 95% of the country is addicted to sugar right now,
Hmm.
in some form or another. So, getting that many people to admit it all would be tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So,
industry runs the machine,
yeah.
and advertising and so forth runs a machine. So it's very difficult to tell people who don't want to hear it,
Right.
they can't have it anymore. I had to give up sweet taste altogether. I can't have anything sweet at all, ever.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm also addicted to carbohydrates, so I just don't eat, anything related to carbs at all. But sweet taste have really put me into a spin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to avoid it whenever I can. Um, the only thing I have that's remotely sweet is I have coffee in the morning and I put butter in it and I have like a little thing of liquid monk fruit sweetener and I just put a little shot of that in there and it's just enough to offset the bitterness of the coffee
Mm-hmm.
without making it sweet. So I'm getting a little bit of that, but I'm not really getting sweet sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't set me off. I've been doing that for months, and it doesn't give me cravings and it doesn't give me issues. So uh,
Great.
that's one thing. And I can have like a Zevia or the bubbly or some type of like of those carbonated drinks that just have like a little teensy little bit of flavor in them,
Mm-hmm.
and those don't set me off. But if I have a Coke Zero or like a Diet Coke or a Diet Mountain Dew or something like that, yeah, I'll
Mm.
end up I'll end up having another one and then another one and then another one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Artificial sweeteners actually yeah, they ping your brain.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. And just knowing that now, it's like I wish I could have known it earlier, but I'm really glad I figured it out now. So
Yes. Well,
I
we
made
just
a
start from where we are.
I made a video on my channel. I don't know if you watched it, and that's what inspired the interview on sugar addiction. But I did a video about it where I kind of broke down my experiences on that and um, things to look out for. You know, if you think you might be a sugar addict, or how to recognize it in others.
Well, tell us. We're waiting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, well, I one of the segments was what does sugar addiction look like and how to recognize it. You know, some people call it their sweet tooth. So somebody says they have a sweet tooth, or if they just remark about, oh, that was so good, it's like it's made out of crack. You know, that's a sign that when somebody has something, they're enjoying it that much. You know, they're getting that dopamine response.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they say sugar is just as addictive as cocaine and produces the same kind of dopamine response. So, it makes sense. When people revere it, that's a sign of sugar addiction. Or when they call, another sign is when you hear someone call the thing mine. I've
Mm.
got to have my fruit. I've got to have my
Mm.
Snickers bar. I've got to have my Coke. I've got to have my sweet tea. Um, that's a big sign because not only are they wanting the thing, they're calling it theirs before it's even hit their lips.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've laid claim to it and it's part of who they are
Mm-hmm.
because they're calling it theirs. So that's another way that you can recognize sugar addiction in others. Yep.
Yeah.
So um, if you're like what I was saying earlier, if your sugar addiction is controlling your decision making, like you're deciding to exit off the highway, you're to go get something when you're not even really hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you decide to pick that thing up out of the trash, when you can't say no, or you can't just have Laura Spath on her channel, and she was talking about this. She would be at a meeting, and they'd have a plate of cookies, and someone would have a cookie on their plate, and they would take one bite of the cookie and just leave it on the plate, and she'd be across from them, uh, just staring at that cookie that's had one bite out of it, and her not believing that they haven't finished it yet. She's like, why haven't you finished that cookie? It's like, it's running through her mind. It's getting to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And man, I can really relate to that too.
Yeah. Because if it
Because
was
I'm not a
you,
moderator.
that would be down. They didn't follow through like she would have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That's like, I don't know, singing half of Happy Birthday and not finishing the song or something. It's um,
Yeah.
you recognize that they're not eating it like they should. They should be eating that whole thing. Why aren't you eating that whole donut? How can you have a donut on your plate and then not eat it? You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of seeing a movie. And actually, now that we're talking about it, that's come up, and I've done that, where the person in
Mhm.
the movie takes a nibble off the edge of something, and you're like, aren't you going to eat that?
Right. Why isn't that whole thing in your face already?
Right. Yeah.
Yep. Another sign is eating when you're not hungry, because your sugar addiction can throw off your hunger cues and really screws up your hunger cues big time. And that's why, I could sit down on my lazy boy watching a football game, and I could eat a whole like family sized bag of Doritos. You know, your brain, I couldn't do that with, you know, a giant bag of steak because I'd get full, and
Mhm.
the hunger cues in my brain would go, okay, you've eaten enough, you're done, and then it wouldn't taste good anymore. But when you're eating those Doritos or donuts or cookies, you know, it kind of, I think it just something in our brain switches off, and we can just keep eating that stuff.
Mhm.
Just keep going and going and going and going. And when you experience something like that, that's a sign of sugar addiction too.
Mhm.
When you
Yeah.
can't turn it off.
Right. Right. And you could eat a whole bag of chips
Yeah,
and wonder what happened to them. You don't even
right.
know until you reach in, there's no more.
Yeah. It's like finishing that large McDonald's French fry and going, where'd all the French fries go? And you're looking in the bag to see if there's a couple loose fries in there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's for sure. If you let's see, another sugar addiction of mine is if you find yourself walking around the house, looking in cupboards, looking in the refrigerator for something to eat when you're not hungry, that's a sign. You just going through the you open the pantry, you open the refrigerator, and you're just looking, and you don't really know what you're really looking for. Um, it's just like you just have a calling in your head, like I want to find something to munch on. I don't know why, but I do. Um, and then when you see that thing that you want, you'll convince yourself that you want it. So
Yeah. Yeah. That was me every night after dinner,
yeah,
every night.
and depending on what you had for dinner, and I'm guessing it wasn't steak and eggs.
No.
um, yeah, then you'll want something because it's screwing with your hunger cues.
Yeah.
You don't you don't know. I can't remember the name of the hormone. It's ghrelin and leptin. I can't remember which one does which.
Mhm.
But one of them makes you hungry, and the other one basically turns it off.
Mm.
Uh, and it screws with the. I think it's leptin is the one that turns off your hunger and says you're full, you're done. But now that I'm carnivore, it's rare, really rare that I go looking for something after dinner.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
pretty rare. It
Yeah.
has happened, and usually I'll maybe make a coffee or um, have a Zevia, or if I have something like that around the house. I might have something like that. But other than that, usually if I find myself, like, I'm kind of a night owl, so I try to eat early. So when I go to bed, I'm definitely not digesting anything. I'm well past my digestion cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I find myself wanting like a little snack or a little something, I'll just go to bed.
Okay.
So,
That's an idea.
maybe that's a, pro tip if, you're struggling and you're trying not to snack at night. Um, Go to bed.
Yeah, you're changing your state. You're changing your location. You're changing your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're out of the kitchen. You're not in front of the TV watching food commercials, you
right.
know. So, yeah, that's a big one too. If
Yeah.
you see a food commercial and then you get out of your chair and go look and see if you have that food in your pantry, uh, you know, that's
Yes,
that's that's the marketing working on you driving that behavior.
absolutely. Yes.
We can recognize that. I mean, that's 75% of the battle
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah.
catching yourself, catching yourself. And
Right. Get off autopilot.
right. And then have a plan on what to do with yourself after you catch yourself.
Mm, yeah. So
So,
when you catch yourself, what would be the plan?
so either make, like a coffee or um, like a green tea. Green tea is really great for that. Or sometimes I'll just go and I'll just put like a little salt on my tongue.
Mm,
Um, or maybe even go to the fridge, take a stick of butter out and just cut off like a little teaspoon sized thing of butter and eat that.
mm-hmm.
Having that butter, it's not, for one, it's not going to spike your insulin. Um, it's not going to throw off your hunger cues. Um, and it's not going to really do anything to hurt your overall plan. Sure, it's going to give your body something to digest, but it's not going to impact you in any significant way.
Mm-hmm.
So that would probably be the thing that I would probably want to do last, is have, eat some butter or something, but usually something to drink, ice
Sometimes
water,
we,
tea, unsweet tea. I keep
yeah,
unsweet tea around
sometimes
the
we're
house.
thirsty.
Yeah, you could be just thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, or go to bed.
Or go to bed. Or get in
Yeah,
the shower.
yeah, that's something too. There's no food in the shower.
Right. No food's in the shower.
Or maybe do something around the house, like go grab a load of laundry and just give yourself something physical to do to take your mind off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're just sitting there in front of the TV or in front of the computer or looking at your phone, your body's just kind of idle.
Yeah.
But if you give yourself something to do, um, like throw a load of laundry in, or go, if you got a clean load of laundry in the basket, go put it away. Go take the trash out. Go, something.
Right. Right. Get active. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just get out of your chair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what have been your positive benefits since you've been doing this?
Since doing carnivore, well, I was struggling with type 2 diabetes, and that's pretty much gone now. Um, and I think I had a pretty good, I'm waiting to get some blood tests done to have them check my fasting insulin and C-peptide and whatnot. So I'm waiting to see what that is and see what my blood work, because I haven't had blood work done since before I started carnivore.
Okay.
So interested to see how that's going to come out. So, but I'm not getting. I used to get like some tennis elbow,
Mm-hmm.
soreness in my elbows. I get a little soreness in my knee. Um, I'd have trouble getting in and out of my car. I felt like every time I had to get out of my car, it's like I just had to like pull myself up and out of the car.
Yeah.
And now that I've lost, about 60 pounds, um, I just turn, put my feet down, and stand up right out of the car. So that's been a really nice thing, and I'm in and out of the car a lot, so that's a big deal to me on getting in and out of the car, and just my energy level. I wake up in the morning, and a lot of times I'll wake up before my alarm goes off, and I turn, my feet hit the floor, and I'm up. I'm not laying there, you know, just trying to go back to sleep or wishing I could go back to sleep, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of ready to start my day when I get up.
That is such a wonderful feeling.
It
That
is.
is so great.
Then when I go to bed, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself going to sleep much easier. Now I know if I've eaten something that I probably shouldn't, sometimes it'll give me a little trouble getting to sleep. Like we went to a party last weekend, and I had some chicken wings that people brought, and I think they must have been fried in vegetable oil or something, because
Mm-hmm.
I knew something wasn't quite right, and I had a little trouble going to sleep. Or there might have been like a little sugar in their marinade or something,
Yeah.
because it was something I wouldn't normally have, but I felt like was okay, and and it was okay. I mean, it didn't really affect me that much. I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed.
Notice the difference. Yeah. Was there anything besides that you've noticed?
Well, I've noticed my mood is better. I have kind of a more upbeat attitude, and things don't trigger me nearly as easily as they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my temper would get triggered. I mean, I've always been a fairly even keeled guy, but there'd be certain things that would definitely get my attention and trigger a bad response. And now I just feel calmer, and everything just kind of, nothing like really shocks me or really makes me react.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, well, unless it's like a threat or something. But yeah, my mood's a lot better. Um, I feel like I'm more contemplative. Um, like I think things through more.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I feel like I'm like a little more considerate and considerate of others. Um, where before, I may just gloss over something someone said that meant something to them, um, and I listen more. I'll and my wife's mentioned something like that before, where it's like I'm a better listener.
Mm.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah, I feel like my eyesight is a little bit better. I've had my eyes checked a couple months ago, and the guy said he's like, those are the best 53-year-old eyes I've seen in months. So
Great.
well, I was kind of blessed with perfect vision my whole life, so I'm just kind of glad that it's not getting any worse, and actually, it feels like it's getting a little better.
Yes, I had my eyesight improve quite a bit. I don't need glasses to drive. I used to. I don't need
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Another thing, well, other than the weight loss, I've gone down almost 3 pant sizes,
mm-hmm.
one shirt size, went from 2XL shirts to 1XL shirts.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. I'm kind of backing into, I still have most of my clothes I had when I had lost weight before, and now I'm kind of backing into that other wardrobe. Um, and now my wife was like, "What are all these clothes?" And it was all my 2X t-shirts and all my the two sizes of pants that I've shrunk out of.
Mm.
Uh, she's like, "You sure you don't want to keep these?" And I'm like, "I'm sure. I've done this once. I'm doing it again, and there won't be a third time."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like now that I've experienced what carnivore is, what it really is, and what it really, really does beyond what keto did for me before, uh, there is no going back now because
Yeah.
now I've got everything I need. So if I do start catching myself gaining weight again, I know how to instantly fix it. So
Mm-hmm. Yes. And this way of eating is not deprivation. It's very satisfying.
agreed. Yeah, I find myself uh, no longer even wanting anything that's not carnivore. Now things look good, and I remember, you know, how good something tasted, but my craving to have it is gone.
Yeah, I bought a jar of pickles because Laura Spath eats pickles,
Yeah,
and so I saw the pickles and I like pickles and they were dill pickles. They didn't have any sugar in them. And I bought that jar of pickles. It's in my refrigerator and I do not want to eat them. I open the jar, I put it in the fridge. Every time I look at it, I'm like, I don't want to eat it.
right. Might as well get them out of there.
Yeah, I just it's so funny. Why don't we want it? We just don't want it. I don't know.
I can go to the grocery store and walk right down the cereal aisle, and it's like it doesn't bother me in the slightest because to me now, that's not food. That's not something that my brain sees as fit for human consumption.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how, and you'll know when you make the switch because if you're watching this and you're just starting out on your keto or ketovore or carnivore journey, and every time you walk down that cereal aisle, hopefully for you it'll be less and less and less, and then one day you'll go down there and it's like you don't even look to the side. It's like you're just walking through the laundry detergent aisle. You
Yeah, just
know,
want to get to the meat on the other end.
right? It's as appealing as walking down the aisle of Ziploc bags.
Right.
So yep, I want to get the ribeyes that are on sale and some eggs and some butter and see what else I got on sale that I can grab and
Mm-hmm.
go.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yep. Well, is there anything you'd like to leave us with? We've been here almost 45 minutes
time
already.
time flies, doesn't it? Um, well, I would just you know let people know if you're considering it or you're just starting out. No, you don't have to be a slave to the food industry. You don't have to feel obligated to finish a dessert, or you don't have to feel obligated to eat something that's given to you. Like, for instance, when you go to Thanksgiving, or you go to Christmas parties or Hanukkah parties or New Year's Eve, all the different things that we're going to experience in the next 6 weeks. You don't have to feel obligated to eat something that's there because it's there. Um, and if you're considering it, just try it. Try it for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And I think you'll be really glad that you did. It's hard to know what's on the other side of the looking glass until you get on the other side of the looking glass.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would never. Now that I've been 11 months carnivore, I have no desire to ever do anything else. I feel so much better. Feel like I'm younger. I move just
Yeah,
like you said, jump out of the car and go and don't even have to hold anything, don't have to take a step and get your balance, nothing like that. Just go just like anybody else. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And make a plan, like for the holidays. My plan when I go to Thanksgiving, I know what's going to be there when I walk in the door. I know there's going to be a table full of desserts and snacks and bowls of chips and all kinds of different things. And you know, if anybody's ever been to Thanksgiving before, they know what's awaiting them. So be prepared and have a plan. And my plan is to stick to carnivore, and I'm allowing myself one thing. And that one thing, I already know what it is. My niece, she grows her own little pumpkins, and she makes the best pumpkin pie like on the planet. And I'm going to have one piece of her pumpkin pie, and that's my one thing. It's going to be my one thing.
Yeah.
And have a plan, and then tell other people your plan so they know what your plan is, and they know not to bring you a plate of stuff.
Mm.
You know, you don't have to tell everybody, but if you're going with your spouse or your friend or your cousin or whoever, that one person that's in the car, tell them your plan. And, you know, even if you're worried about it, just tell them that you're worried about it. You know, it's like, hey, I know there's going to be a lot of stuff in here and I'm going to be tempted, you know. I just want to let you know I'm worried about it, you know.
Yeah. Yes. Get support for
Yeah, support.
sure.
Sure.
Yes. Absolutely. And eat something first. Eat something before you go, so you're not arriving starving.
Take your own salt.
Oh,
Take your
yeah.
take your own butter. Like if you have one of those little Redmond's travel salt things, like Carrie from Homestead How
Yeah, I
sells,
got one.
you know, take one of those with you. That's like your little talisman. It's
Yeah.
your little good luck charm that you're walking in. That's your little reminder in your hand or in your pocket. You know,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
tempted to get some turkey and you get some ham and oh, there's green bean casserole, there's sweet potatoes, there's candied yams, there's, you know, there's stuffing, you know, you can just skip over that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Or, you know, if you have a plan and your plan is to have, you know, like maybe just like one small portion of sweet potatoes, if that's your thing, if that's the one thing you want to treat yourself with, you know, have that, you know, make a plan.
Make a
So
plan.
you
Yeah.
walk in with no plan, you'll walk out probably feeling defeated.
Yeah. Right. Right. Exactly.
What do
Well,
they say?
Brett.
Not planning, failing to plan is planning to fail.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it. Appreciate your insights too. And that background, I'm kind of jealous of that.
yeah.
That's awesome.
It was free. I just found it. I did like a Google search for meat lockers, and it came up, and I just copied and pasted it off the internet.
Wow.
I
It's
saved it
great.
as a picture, and yeah, I'm just glad it worked on the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, it's perfect. It looks like you're sitting right there.
I know, and you can't see the wreckage behind me. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Sure, absolutely.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great night. Thank
You
you.
too. Bye.
Bye.